What's going on, everybody? It's EricRayweather back here, and in today's video I'm going to be going over my 5 biggest concerns about Madden 18 from what I saw at EA Play, from as much as I have got the chance to play the game then. I want to go in detail about the 5 things that concern me the most going into Madden 19, the 5 things that I'm most worried about, that I don't like. And yeah, I know this video might be a surprise to some people because apparently, EA Game Changers can't talk negative about Madden, or, we won't get invited back, even though I do have, quite a few negative videos on my channel about Madden. I do keep it constructive, but, the narrative is always that, oh, we can't talk bad about the game, all we can do is hype it up and just say good things, and, videos like this prove that that's not the case. Constructive criticism is definitely needed, and we give that all the time. So I definitely wanted to make this video because these are definitely some things that we need to talk about. So let's get it started. Number 1 on the list for me, and most of these are going to be like gameplay related, because for me personally, gameplay is the biggest part of any video game. Obviously, EA does have to get better with like immersion and building out their game modes better. I don't think anybody would disagree with that, but the gameplay is the core of the game that goes across all modes. So number 1 for me is player movement in the open field / movement after a catch. Now, with real player motion this year, it definitely slows the game down. It slows how everybody moves. It's good in some ways, but it's bad in others. For me, I think it's good in the run game because it allows you to slow down a little bit, hit the holes better, kind of pick your running lane. So I think it's good in that aspect. But where it's really bad for me, and I hope that they are able to fix this, is in the open field and like after catches. So when you're in the open field, you feel really slow. It seems very easy to get run down by defenders. It seems as though the defenders are moving way faster than you're able to, even if you're a fast guy, even if you're a Tyreek Hill type guy. If you catch the ball and you don't have like 20 yards of separation, seems like you can kind of get easily run down by guys that shouldn't be able to. And then also, right after catches, it seems like there's just such a lack of control of your guy after a catch. Now, when you have a running back in the open field, it seems like you have great control over him. So, like I said, real player motion in that aspect works really well. But when you make a catch, whether it be with your running back in the flats, a wide receiver, or a tight end over the middle, when you catch the ball, it's very hard to immediately try to go upfield. It's like you see the open field, you want to cut up field, there's an extra 5 yards that should just be automatically yours. You caught the ball in enough space to where you should easily get those extra 5 yards after the catch, and it just seems like you are not able to get it. As soon as you get it, you're almost like in quicksand and you just get run down by the nearest defender, even though you should so easily be able to cut up field. Now, do keep in mind, everything in this video I have already, not only me, but tons of other game changers and just other players in general have stressed this to the devs. I know a lot of people are playing the beta, and even though you're not supposed to publicly talk about the beta, I've seen plenty of people publicly talking about the beta, and a lot of them have said these same things. So the devs definitely know. We definitely gave a lot of feedback from EA Play, so I do expect, hopefully, for these things to get fixed, but until they're fixed, I'm still going to be concerned with them. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there. So yeah, player movement in open field after catch, it just feels like not enough control over your player. I do not like that at all. Going into number 2 on the list is QB control. This is something that I found to be a really big issue. It seems like when you drop back with your QB, it's so hard to climb the pocket. The state of the game was in when I played, it felt like it was so hard to climb the pocket that you would almost get sucked and pulled backwards, whereas you do your 3 or your 5 step drop, whatever the case may be, and then you naturally want to step up a couple steps to climb the pocket, get ready for your throw, step into your throw, and it felt so hard to do that compared to years past. It felt like when you were ready to step up in the pocket that oftentimes, not every time, but oftentimes it would almost you would feel like you're getting sucked further back, like as if something was pulling you backwards when you were naturally trying to step up, especially in the cases where a defensive end would get an instant block shed, because that happens a lot of times in Madden. If you have a good defensive end on a weaker pass blocker, every once in a while he'll get what's called an instant win off the line, where he kind of just makes contact and rips past the blocker. And a lot of times when that would happen, I would feel myself getting sucked into him. When I saw him, in my peripheral, I saw him get that win. He was coming off the edge, so I'm trying to step up in the pocket to buy an extra second or two to evade him, to make him have to take a longer route to get to me to sack me. And a lot of times I would just feel myself getting almost pulled into him, like I could not get up. And I felt the same thing with QB control sometimes when trying to scramble. More so with the intermediate scramblers. Now the super fast QBs, they're still a little bit easier because of the speed gap that they have. it's a little bit easier to kind of overlook this with them and still get out of the pocket. But with like your mid-speed QBs, your guys that's like in the high 70s speed or like 80, 82 speed, you know, not really fast, but definitely have a little bit of wheels on them. It felt like when you're trying to roll out with them, you're almost like at times in quicksand. You can't get out of the pocket when you clearly have so much space to work with. So again, feedback that I gave, I would assume that would be addressed, but something that's really concerning with me and I did not like at all. Number 3 on the list would be zone defense. Now, there's good and bad with zone defense. I've covered the good in other videos. I'll briefly touch on it because we have to talk about the good, you know, in order for you to understand the bad. So, zone placement is good. They stay where they're supposed to stay. They turn their hips more times than not when they're supposed to turn their hips when there's a threat coming into their area. They don't typically backpedal off into the middle of nowhere like years past. And they usually make a good attempt when the ball is in the air. If it's like a jump ball that they can jump up and swat, they usually make a good attempt. Those are good things. But the bad part about the zone is like sometimes the way they react when you throw right at them is very bad. It's almost like they warp. Most specifically like flat zones, cloud flats and hard flats. You would throw right at them sometimes and they'll just dumb out. Clearly it's a bug. Clearly it's not supposed to be that way. I definitely think, I'm very confident that that one is going to be fixed. You know, one of the developers told me personally that that's handled. So I'm taking his word for it. But again, until I see it, I'm concerned about that. Like, it seems like if you hang the ball up in the air, like zones are fine. They go up, they play the ball. You know, if a zone is like matching a route and he's just a step off and you throw the ball, he gets his hand in there and tries to make a play. But it seems like in instances where the easier times it should be for the zone, when you're throwing directly at it, they kind of just warp out and dumb out, and that it would be a very huge issue if that is not fixed by the time the game drops. So that's probably the one I'm most scared about, but also the most confident about because they said personally that it's fixed. But I definitely hope so, because if not, that would be a big problem. Number 4 on the list is dropped passes. This is a very big issue, and it's funny because the first couple games that I played at EA Play, I didn't really notice many drops. In fact, it was the opposite. Even in tough traffic, I was holding on to almost everything. High point passes in traffic, you know, regular, like, you know, post routes over the middle in traffic. I didn't see any drops. But after my first couple games, I saw nothing but drops. Like, just drops on easy catches. I'm talking about, I have 5 yards of separation. I catch the ball, and then the defender is able to, like, after I haul the ball in, the defender is able to, like, kind of get his hand on my back to make a tackle, and then the ball just falls out of my hand. And that infuriates me because, you know, if you're going to time a hit stick or lay me out, then sure, separate me from the ball. I'm cool with that. But I hate when I have some separation on you. I have to, you know, my wide receiver has to slow down in order to secure the ball, which is fine, but by him slowing down to secure the ball, it allows the defender to put a hand on me, and then just by them putting a hand on me or trying to wrap me up from the back, the ball just magically plops out of my hands. Do not like that. Even sometimes in the end zone on a high point pass, although I found high point passes to be very OP, there were some times where I would drop a high point pass that just didn't make sense. Like, I had plenty of separation, my guy went up, got 2 hands on it, and again, it's not like I got hit in midair. The defender just gets near me and tries to wrap me up as I'm coming down, and the ball just plops out of my hands. Like, there was no big hit, or there was no like getting the hand on the ball to jar it loose. It was just like, okay, I secured the ball and now I'm coming down, and okay, the defender wants to put his arms around me, like to give me a hug to bring me down, and the ball just plops out of my hands. There was nothing that felt like he actually forced the ball out of my hands. It feels like the game just made me drop the ball. But even still, even sometimes when I wouldn't get hit, I mean, just wide open over the middle, the ball just pop off my guy's hands, and I'm just like, you know, that is something that I feel like could be a big issue, and I hope that that's addressed. But I mean, dropping passes definitely happens from time to time. Sure, I'm okay with it, but I just saw way too many, and that's definitely something that I don't like, and I think many people wouldn't like that either. And number 5, last on the list for me, is they nerfed a lot of things this year, and this is not just a Madden 19 issue. This is kind of an EA issue overall for me. They nerfed too many things. Yes, there's plenty of formations and stuff in the game that can be OP. They are harder to stop. They definitely take a little bit more effort to stop. They're annoying to go against. But the more you nerf things, the more you make future games where you're only going to see one thing ran, right? Because if you think back, you know, a few years ago, there was a lot of good stuff that people could run. You could run split close, you could run strong close, you could run gun bunch, you could run gun tight, you can run trips tight end. You know, there was a lot of different things you can run, and every year it seems like EA is like, okay, this formation was just too overpowered last year, or, you know, the last couple years. we got to nerf it and just kind of make it, we're going to change routes or take certain routes out of certain plays that were over effective, or make this run play just suck now. And like, I get both sides of it. Obviously, if something was a little too OP, you want to dial it back a little bit because it makes the experience better for the casual player. But the more you nerf things every year, the more you get to a point where it's like, okay, there's only one possible formation now that can be over effective. Whereas if you didn't nerf anything, at least maybe you had 6 or 7 and you got some variety. You had people using different things. For me, from what I saw, Gun Bunch looks like it's going to be nerfed. I'm sure people will figure out how to be effective with it, but they took, you know, some of the best routes out of it for the second year in a row. They changed around some of the best plays in it, and they changed how you motion. So just looking at the formation early on, it looks like it's not going to be nearly as good to run, and that might make some people happy, but what you got to realize is everybody's going to find the one formation. Everybody's going to find the one new formation. It's like, okay, this is what we're running. This is the most effective formation. And when you nerf all the other formations year after year after year, you start minimizing what formations are good enough to be over effective. And if you only wind up with one over effective formation, then literally everybody's just going to run the one formation or the one play. Whereas if you go back a few years ago, yeah, maybe there was a lot of over effective stuff in the game and you had to put in a little more work and maybe be a little more frustrated in order to stop it, but at least there was variety. The more you nerf, the more you're going to see the same thing every game. So I think they need to stop nerfing and, you know, more so work on the AI of the defense to make them better able to stop some of these things that are harder to stop. I mean, I get both sides of it, don't get me wrong, but I don't think band-aiding is ever the answer, because you're just condensing the game more and more and more, pushing people to only run one thing, whereas at least you had a variety. So that's my 5 concerns for Madden 19. Let me know what you think. Drop it in the comments below, and as always, I will see you guys next time.